The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Am I Mental, a live weekly podcast where people share real stories about living their lives with issues with mental health and things that impact mental health. I'm your host, E. With us, as always, are the co-hosts, Bexy and C.
Hello.
And happy Veterans Day, everyone. For all of you that have served, thank you very much. From the bottom of my heart, I genuinely appreciate it. I have always said I may not always agree with how our government uses our military, but I will always stand up for the men and women in uniform. I will stand behind you because God knows I don't want to stand in front of you.
I second that completely. As a daughter and a sister of veterans, I am completely grateful to the people who, defend this country.
Exactly. I have a father who's a Vietnam-era veteran, and I have uncles and cousins that have served as well, and lots of friends, too.
I don't know many people who have served on my side, but I do have a brother-in-law, and my mom, interesting, told me that her father fought in, I think, Korea.
Oh, wow.
And my other grandfather on my dad's side fought in World War II.
So I found out my great-grandfather on my maternal grandmother's side actually lied about his age to enlist in World War I.
Wow.
Yeah, he enlisted at 17. And yeah, he was in the European theater and he survived. Tough son of a bitch.
I can see that.
And as far as I know, he's the only great-grandfather I ever met. I remember having met him, but I have no memories of him. I just remember being excited once as a kid that he was coming over, and I don't remember anything about him. But he is responsible for a nickname that has persisted with me my entire life through my mom's side of the family, and I don't want to share it, because, no.
Fair enough.
Let's just say that it was very prophetic, because I did wind up being an asshole. So, unfortunately, our guest tonight did not make it. They are a veteran. They take part in what's called 22 for 22 every day. It's 22 push-ups to kind of like symbolize the 22 veterans that will commit suicide today. Because on average, 22 veterans commit suicide every day in this country. And he's really dedicated to try to stop that and change that, and also big on veteran PTSD. Today may have been too big for him, it being Veterans Day. And he may have bitten off more than he could chew. We don't know. He hasn't talked to us today. We just hope that everything's okay.
Yes.
God, I hope he's still with us.
I'm pretty sure that he is still with us. Yeah, he's a mentor for the Camaraderie Foundation, which mentors soldiers and their families as they transition out of the military. And it is quite possible that a situation could have arose that he needed to help with. So, it's one of those things. I just wish him all the best. And
Same.
If there's any chance at all that he's able to join us, in a little bit, I'd absolutely love that.
As a matter of fact, any veterans that would like to jump on and talk about anything veteran related, whether it's the VA, whether it's being in combat, or even being active duty during peace times, or whatever. I mean, even if you never went to combat, even if you signed up and then you got dismissed because of like medical issues or whatever, you signed. For me, all the respect in the world for that. You put your life on the line. For all you knew, you could have gone to battle and died, even if you never served a day in boot camp. You signed that. You signed that contract. All the respect in the world from me. But yeah, we would definitely like to get someone. I mean, it's Veterans Day. It's podcast day. Mental health, and we all know that veterans tend to have. I'm not saying all veterans, but it's enough to where it's a stereotypical veterans are homeless. They have a lot of PTSD issues. I mean, even going back as far back as like World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, shell shock is what we used to call it then.
Right.
We've known about it for generations.
Yeah, and it's sad to say that even for as long as we've known about it, the stigma for it and everything is still, very, 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 very bad. And I mean, these are men and women who have, seen horrific things, and, in my head, I don't think sometimes that that they are understood enough to get proper treatment at times. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
They're all like a lot of mental health related things. It kind of gets boxed into a corner and shoved to the back.
Right.
Which is especially wrong when you consider what, these people have given up to serve this country. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And especially with how our government, it's like they're big to court you to get into the military. They varying levels of treatment throughout your entire career in military, depending on whether you're an officer, whether you're an enlistee, whether you decide to go political route and try to get up into like the leadership, the top brass, or whether you're just like in the Army, just a sergeant, like you could hit. I mean, there's a rank called the Sergeant of the Army. They are top brass, but they're an enlistee. That even a wet behind the ears, brand new from officer training school, lieutenant could still give orders to. Of course, giving orders to the general, to the sergeant of the Army, you're gonna get some looks. Let's just be honest about that. But, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. No, but, I mean, honestly, it's like the government does a lot to try to get you in. The treatment's not the greatest when you're in the Army or in the military. I mean, come on. Especially if you're in combat, supply lines are not guaranteed. You're in a very stressful situation, especially front lines. You're in hostile territory. Every single step you take could be your last step. Every breath you take could be your last breath. Yeah, that could give you PTSD. Even if nothing happens the entire time, you're still in the front lines, you're still getting that stress. If you're within mortar range, you could be in a forward command. You're in mortar range. You're in suicide attack range. You just never know. That is some stressful shit. But then once you're done, the government does fuck all for you guys. I mean, yeah, you have the VA, but let's be honest. Most VAs are... I mean, there's a reason that there's stories about it and how horrific it is. And there's some really off-color, dark jokes about the VA. The VA should be better. Every one of you guys, and guys, I'm using that colloquially, meaning, as an umbrella term. You should
generally, yeah.
Generally, you should all be treated with the top medical care. Especially if you come back scarred from something that our government put you in.
Right.
So, like that program that your veteran that was supposed to come on is a part of, that should be at the minimum government funded. I doubt it is. I would love to be wrong on that. I would absolutely love to be wrong on that. Like, I don't like paying taxes. I really don't. I don't know of a lot of people that are like, yay, taxes! Woo! But there are a few things where I feel that my taxes are well spent. In areas where I wish my taxes were spent. Like our veteran care.
Yes, definitely. I just had a friend who is a vet share this meme basically, but it says thank a veteran today, because it says things that they miss their child's first steps, they have broken relationships, PTSD, they work hard, they have low pay, they have reintegration challenges. They miss like father-daughter dance. They miss the birth of their kids sometimes. I mean, there's a lot that they give up.
They miss when, say, a parent's in the hospital in critical care.
Yes.
They miss a lot. They really do. I mean,
they really do. The
sacrifice that they make, I can only imagine, having not served myself. And, I do carry some guilt with that. I had the opportunity to serve. I was a punk-ass kid, and I acted like a punk-ass kid. The only thing I wanted to do is play trumpet. So I was like, yeah, I'll play, but I want to be in the Army band. And they're like, yeah, we can't guarantee that. And I'm like, I'm not signing. That's how I was. And now, I'm too old. But I've always supported the military. And the entire time. I've always supported the men and women. There was a Walgreens not too long ago that they were doing buy a box of Cracker Jacks to have it sent as a care package to our soldiers in Afghanistan and in the Middle East. I slapped down a 20 and said as many boxes of Cracker Jacks as this could buy, and they were selling for 50 cents a box. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That I couldn't afford more at the time. If I could, I would have been like, slap down $100 bill and dude, let's do it. Yeah, I sent 40 boxes of Cracker Jacks in one day, and then every single time I went there, every time I bought whatever change I had left over. It's like, okay, I'm buying my thing, and whatever's left over, buy Cracker Jacks. Send them. Because, I mean, when you're in a foreign country, especially if you're forward operations, getting little things like a box of fucking Cracker Jacks could be the greatest thing ever.
Right.
Oh, definitely. I
Like a
can.
little,
It's a little taste of home almost.
Yeah,
yeah, kind of like it proves that people really care about you in a way.
yeah. And you know what?
Just a little reminder.
And honestly, Cracker Jacks are awesome. Okay.
They are awesome. And I know a lady who is she is lovely, and what she does is collect up things like crossword puzzle books and word searches, and she will occasionally take donations to buy things, and she makes up boxes and she sends them to the soldiers overseas so they have you know little things that they can do in their downtime, which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
you know
I've sent like puzzle books,
yes.
like Sudoku, word searches, logic puzzles.
Yeah.
I mean, there's millions of people in the military. I'm sure at least one person has the same interests as I do. So,
Right.
and I know that sometimes you'll be up for like 12, 14, 24 or more hours, and you need something to keep your mind awake. And guess what? Those puzzle books, they keep your mind awake. As long as you're not, on guard duty, so you're supposed to be alert. Yeah, you probably don't want to do logic puzzles then when you're supposed to be watching out for threats. But still, one of the coolest stories I ever heard. This was during Desert Storm. I was a paper boy at the time during Desert Storm, so I got to read every headline. And while I was folding up the papers, I read the entire first article every time. And then because of the Iraqi war, when it was Desert Shield. I read I was so up to date with everything. Like, everything that popped up on the evening news, I was like, yep, I already know that. It was kind of cool. Then when it went to Desert Storm and all that, yeah, it was a hell of a time. But that was when I really, at that point, really started to respect the military. Was during Desert Storm, Desert Shield. But one of the coolest stories I heard is a guy out there, as a care package that was sent to him, was some soil from his front yard with some of the grass seeds from his grass. So he was able to plant a little yard in front of his tent to have a little bit of U.S. soil right there in front. And every day when he would wake up, everybody would go through and they'd rub their hand through the grass.
Aww.
Because it was literally touching home.
That is awesome.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and of course it was in the desert, so everybody gave up a little bit of their water rations to keep the grass alive. And when everybody was doing it, it really wasn't much of each person's rations. It added up.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was just incredible.
I remember my brother-in-law telling me, like, when he was in camp, there would be people, like, you'd have to basically do suicide watch. The way he said they'd do it is, like, they'd basically just stand there and watch you. Like, at least for him in his camp, to make sure that you wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to my dad. My dad doesn't like to open up too much about his stories about being in the military. For a long time, he wouldn't even acknowledge that he was a Vietnam era veteran. His story was, he graduated high school. His draft number was something like 7. It was a single-digit number. As he put it, if the president was going to draft more people, wouldn't even bother wasting any of his breath on the number 7. He'd be like, draft the next 100 people. Or the next 100. And, like, a bunch of people would be assigned, like, 7. Like, there could be 1,000 people assigned 7. So you say 100 people,
right.
It could be 100,000 people right there. Bam, drafted. My dad didn't want to get drafted because when you got drafted, you went straight to Vietnam. There was no training camp. There was nothing. You showed up, you reported for duty, you got your gear, you got on a plane, and you were gone. That was it. If you enlisted, you got 6 months of training stateside. You got basically boot camp and a little extra on top of that before you went to Vietnam. Now, I'm no expert. My dad was no expert either. But it seems to me that 6 months of training could be the difference between life and death.
Right.
You at least know the basics.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So we lived in this little tiny town, as people have now figured. We've mentioned it before, Mount Shasta. The closest recruiting station was an hour south in the town of Reading. So my dad got in his car the day after he graduated high school, drove down to Reading, enlisted. He didn't even get a half hour out of town when they announced the end of the draft. Like, had he waited an hour before he left, but he spent his entire time. He was lucky. When he got where he was stationed, it was one place for his entire 3 years that he signed up for, and it wasn't too far from home. So he was training for Arctic combat, because at the time the theory was if the Russians were coming, they were going to the USSR at the time, which that was a weird time growing up in the Cold War. Let me tell you, you missed out. It was interesting watching the end of the Cold War. I can only imagine what it was like at the beginning, all the way through. But I came in and got the last decade and a half of it. But still, it was a trip. But they always thought that if the USSR was going to come, they'd come over the North Pole. It's the shortest distance. Also, it would give a great wide swath to have to invade all of the northern border. So my dad was trained in Arctic combat, which was kind of cool. He talked about the mummy bags versus regular sleeping bags, and the stuff that you would do to help keep yourself warm. Like, you would fill the pockets of your uniform when you're marching. You'd fill your pockets with the gas from your lighter, and then light it so it'd go woof, and it'd keep your hands warm. Could prevent you from getting frostbite on your fingertips.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Richard. He just jumped in on the chat.
It's an interesting way to stay warm.
Yeah, there's little tricks that they learn. And also, like, when you're out and you're, like, doing the war games thing, like you're looking for the enemy, one of the tricks that you don't really think of is that when you're sitting there with your gun out and you're looking, you cup your hand to the side of your face to get your mouth a little bit, so when you exhale, instead of it just being an immediate cold burst where it like immediately condenses into that vapor cloud, it allows it to cool down more mildly against your hand, and your hand tends to catch the vapor so that your breath either leaves very little or no vapor cloud to give away your position.
Wow.
Little tricks like that will save your life.
Oh, definitely.
That's really neat.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't ever do paintball in cold weather against a veteran. They know that shit.
Good to know for future possible use.
Yeah, my dad, he was a shithead. Gee, I wonder where I get that from. And he caused enough problems that they eventually were like, look, what job will you do that you won't cause problems? Because my dad never broke the rules. He was always that one that would push the rules. The one that's like, damn it, is like malicious compliance. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And he said that he would drive transport. So he was the guy that was driving around. Cat, no comment. He was one that drove everybody around, to and from locations and stuff. And he learned exactly what the field of view was when transports went by. It was tunnel vision. Those headlights were very straightforward with no... I mean, you got tunnel vision. There was no peripheral splash on the sides of the roads. So at night when they were playing war games and you'd hear vehicles coming, my dad would be like, oh, it's transport. And like the lieutenant would be like, okay, everybody get off the road. They'd all like scatter way off the road. My dad and his friends would just go lay on the ditch on the side of the road. Because they knew better. They wouldn't get seen. Because like the thing is that during war games, if you're seen, then the transport driver's supposed to stop and be like, okay, I found you. You guys are now prisoners of war, blah, blah, blah. Whatever.
Okay.
Also, my dad was the one that, when everybody else was out shooting their rounds, my dad was going bang, 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 FTA, FTA, which stands for F the Army. Bang, bang, bang. And then when they went back to their barracks, if you fired your gun, you had to clean it. Well, my dad didn't fire it, so he didn't have to clean it. He just went to bed. Malicious compliance.
Bang, 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 bang. Oh, man.
And one of the better ones is that one time when they had to dig foxholes, they found this earth that was just like freaking perfect. It was easy enough to be able to, like, get into, but firm enough to where it held shape. So their foxhole had a staircase going into it and had a little makeshift earthen oven where they could put their stucco can in to cook their food, and had a little chimney and stuff like that. They really decked it out. You know, it's one of those things, you build your foxhole, then you're just waiting around for everybody else. It's like, well, what can we do with our foxhole? Well, we can make it a nice, perfect square. Okay. We can make some stairs, I guess. Okay.
Let's put an oven in it now.
What do you mean an oven? Like, you know, you dig a hole here for the stucco and put a little vent hole on top so the heat can come through, and but another hole there, and then another. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A little earthen oven.
Man, that's
And not
neat.
stucco, sterno. Stucco's for the side of the walls.
I didn't even catch that. So.
Yeah. Basically, all of Southern California homes are stucco with Spanish tile. And like, no lie. But the nice thing is about Spanish tile, doesn't catch on fire and can save your house during a wildfire. The reason I learned that was the cedar fire down in San Diego. When it broke out, it went 100,000 acres in 24 hours. Now, at the time when it was done, it was 212,000 plus acres. It was, at the time, the largest fire in California history. Well, now we have the Dixie Fire that almost hit 1 million acres this year. Like, holy shit. Fun fact. Remember the rainstorms that came through last week?
Mm-hmm.
That was when they finally got it 100% contained. That and the Caldor Fire. Fires that had been burning since June.
Oh my god, I wasn't
Right?
even aware they were still burning.
Right? I was like, wait, what? There now? Wow. But I mean, if you look at the size of the Dixie Fire, that sucker went from Tahoe all the way to Mount Lassen. And still was bigger than that. It's bigger than the state of Rhode Island. By a lot. Rhode Island's only 700,000 acres. This fire was over 900,000 acres. But anyway, the Cedar Fire. This fire at times, because it was October in Southern California, it hadn't rained since April. So it was very dry. Now, the shit thing is that my ex-wife and I, who were at the time still married, we went out to a pumpkin farm out in Wildcat Canyon Road. Now, anyone that's listening that remembers the Cedar Fire will remember how horrific Wildcat Canyon Road became. It became one of the most catastrophic hotspots of the fire in the first day. So we were heading out to a pumpkin patch, and my ex-wife said, "Hey, no, it's actually kind of pretty out here." And I was like, "Yeah, but one spark." Very next day. Like,
You jinxed it.
damn, right? So what had happened, let me go ahead and make my point really fast on that part, and then I can tell the story. Every house that had Spanish tiles stood after the fire. Every house that had any other kind of roof tiles, like the more traditional ones, unless someone was on their house with garden hoses and buckets putting out the cinders, their houses burned to the ground. All the ones with Spanish tiles and stucco survived. Every single one.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, there were times that this fire moved at over 70 miles an hour. It was fueled by the Santa Ana winds, which are hot, dry desert air. All that shrubbery, it got so hot that the fire would literally flash ignite, like spontaneously combust yards in front of it, allowing it to just streak. One firefighter lost his life when two of them saw the fire coming, and they went to dive into the window through the windows of a house. One made it through the window. The other one got hit with the fire and flash burned to death before he
He was
got
just
it.
incinerated.
Yeah, he he died almost instantly. He wasn't like turned to ash or anything, but like his clothes and all that melted to his skin. His skin had melted. Just, boom, gone. And it wasn't like it just went flying by and it was all ash after that. It was all flames after that. But those flames were so hot that he didn't make it, unfortunately. And the whole fire started with a rescue campfire from someone who was lost over in Riverside County.
Wow.
And he got in a hell of a lot of trouble because, yeah, rescue fires are okay when you don't have 40 and 50 mile an hour hot desert winds in October when it hasn't rained since May or April of that year in the middle of a drought. It was, oh man. And the sad thing is that day, went to take the car to get an oil change and tire rotation and stuff. And I looked and I saw the smoke trail. It was like wide swath of smoke pointed directly at my town. And my dad at the time, he woke up and there was fire cresting a hill near where he lived. This fire was the Grand Prix fire in Southern California, over down by Ventura and Santa Barbara. And yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just got a message from Miss Sprinkles, who has been on the show before, and she's going to put some feelers out and see if she can find anybody who may want to speak tonight. So
awesome.
Okay.
Miss Sprinkles is definitely a fan of the show. Not a fan, yes, a friend of the show.
I am a big fan of Miss Sprinkles. I love her to death. I'm actually going to get to meet her later this year. I'm
a little jealous.
She's coming through, and we promised each other a big squishy boob hug.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, my dad was talking, that whole day, my time was spent checking on my dad while also being worried about this fire that was barreling down directly on my town. The smoke was getting thicker and thicker and thicker. I had no TV at the time. When I moved to San Diego, we had the dish. But the apartment we got, they allowed for us to hook up the dish. But we couldn't get the right angle to get the satellite. Our dish wound up pointing directly into the neighbor's house. Or the neighbor's apartment. So, yeah, that didn't work. So we just went without TV for years. It was pretty awesome. I read a lot more books. I spent more time with the kids. I didn't play video games. It was actually kind of nice. Now, I miss the video games. Trust me on that. But we listened to a lot of music. We hung out with the neighbors. It was good. And we watched a lot of movies. We had, our VCR. Then we eventually got a DVD player because we actually did a side-by-side comparison of Shrek. Shrek on VHS versus Shrek on DVD, side-by-side. Yeah, that was the day we went out and bought a DVD player. Well, we went and we got our antenna hooked up to track this fire. My dad was in constant state of emergency. The fire kept coming close, and then the fire crew would show up and defend the property and then leave when the fire started backing off, and they would come at a different angle and then a different angle. I was like, wow, you only have so many angles before everything's burnt up and there's no chance anymore. So I was like, let's at this point, let's hope for that. If it burns all the way around and doesn't burn you down, and it goes away, you're safe. That evening, it finally died down for him, like right as the sun was setting. But right as the sun was setting, the fire crested the hills coming into my location. And we were already surrounded. Like, there was no escape path. The flames had already gone from the desert to the ocean on the north. Smaller fires had broken out in the south that joined into the cedar fire. The cedar fire was throwing embers that were fist-sized and larger, head-size. I mean, just chunks of, there were eucalyptus trees everywhere and palm trees everywhere. When fire hits those things, they explode and just send embers everywhere. There's a reason why now, if you go to San Diego, every palm tree is properly maintained. It's now the law because of this fire. Because before, you would see the palm trees that was just like that big, looked like an overgrown shrub of just dead fronds from the ground all the way up to the green top. Yeah, that shit didn't fly after this fire. And eucalyptus trees, I mean, they're basically oily paper. is what the whole tree is made out of. Yeah, so we had no way of going anywhere. We couldn't go east because that's where the fire originated. We couldn't go south because there was fire. Plus, we could only go so far south before, we had to go to Mexico. Couldn't go north because of the fire, and if we went west, we'd eventually go into the ocean. There really was no place to go. It was terrifying. The scariest part was trying to keep my kids from realizing that I was terrified. And knowing that the fire was coming into town at sunset, I was just like, fuck, my prediction was right. That morning, I even told my dad, it was like 9, 10 in the morning. I'm like, you know what? Tonight, at the way things are looking right now and the way that they're reporting it, I predict that the fire will be in my valley tonight. Sure as shit, that came true. Now, the one thing that happened that was unexpected. The Santa Ana winds died earlier than predicted. They were supposed to blow all night. And had they blown all night, I might not be here today. Good chance I would still be here, because not a lot of people die in wildfires these days when you have the forewarning, because you could get clustered into areas that are easier to defend, because you could get that concentrated defense. But you never know. However, the winds died. Fire crews were able to dig in and build a trench. The fire didn't come a yard closer overnight on any front. The next morning, the wind shifted the other direction, and the fire went east. There was a little tiny town that was called Cuyamaca. Cuyamaca, and I can't remember the language of what Native American tribe it is. It literally translates to mountain lion. And I actually lived on Cuyamaca Street, which is kind of cool. Even though I hate mountain lions because they hunted me when I was younger. That's a different story. Little town of Cuyamaca. It was most well known for almost every school for their 8th grade trip. They all went to the Cuyamaca campgrounds and did a summer camp on the lake there, and that was basically how the town survived. Is that big boom during the summer would provide them enough finance or enough of an economic boost to get them through to the next one. Burnt to the ground, not a single building left standing because of this fire. There was Julian. If you're from Southern California, like the San Diego area, you know Julian. Julian is famous for their apple pies. Kind of like if you're in the Sacramento Valley, you know of Apple Hill. Same thing. The only thing is that Julian has an Old Town segment that is unbelievable. Like, it is the Wild West type of the Old Town. Firefighters fought their asses off to save that. They did. It was a miracle. It should not have survived, but it did. Yeah, that fire was intense. My most vivid memory of the entire thing was 2 days after the fire broke out. I was at work. It was 2 or 3 days after it broke out. I was at work, and it just started getting darker and darker and darker. This didn't smell like smoke. The smoke was high altitude at the time. By the time it hit 1 in the afternoon, going outside felt like 1 in the morning. It was pitch black. The smoke had completely blocked out the sun. You couldn't see it at all. It was literally like 1 in the morning dark. Now, I know that there were veterans that served in the Iraq War, during Desert Storm, when the oil fields were burning, that's exactly what they saw. As a kid, in 8th grade, delivering these newspapers, reading about this stuff, and hearing these accounts from other veterans that had come back from it, I'd always wondered what that would be like. I didn't want to know. There was a price that came with knowing.
Right.
I mean, in a sense, was it cool? Just detach it by in and of itself? Yeah. Yeah, it was. But the circumstances that caused it? No, not at all. I'm just rambling.
I wish I knew more about my dad's time in the service, unfortunately, because I was so young when he passed away. I didn't even realize he was in the military until years later, coming across photos and books and everything like that. And he was actually stationed in Okinawa for a
Oh,
while.
wow.
And yeah, he served during the Korean War.
Okay.
He was just 18 and fresh out of high school and joined the military. And yeah.
Yeah, and the way that the military pitches it, you're going to make this much money, and it's, wow, that's more money than I could get at any part-time job that's available to me now.
Right.
What they don't tell you is, yeah, but you know what? You got to break that down to how much money you're making per hour over a 24-hour period, because there will be times you're going to work 24 hours a day for a while, and yeah, you're not making shit. You got to get a few promotions in to start making an okay amount.
All right.
One thing I've
Talk
always...
very brief.
Oh, go for it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I will not say anything until you say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. There's going to be silence on here unless one of you speaks up. I know how this goes. Wow. So
He actually
there's one
muted
thing.
himself.
There's one thing that you do not do with E, and that is give him any kind of "you have to do this" or statement. His sense of this is his ODD kicking in. He's not going to speak.
Right. You know what? Fair enough.
Really won't. So go ahead with your statement, because
I might as well, because
Yes.
he's not gonna talk. Fair enough, E. We talked very briefly about integration. I remember my brother-in-law talking about it quite a bit, like coming back. They would basically have to go through these things where he basically summed it up as, hey, not everything's a threat anymore. Please don't beat your wife. Kind of like that when they came back to try to make them integrate it back into civilian life more. He's very aware, He's a very light sleeper. Whenever I sleep downstairs, he likes to come down and make sure I'm not murdered. He's very aware of like keeping things locked. He knows where his things are just in case something does happen. And he's very, very wary of people.
Think of what he was trained with.
Exactly. I'd say he's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
He's doing college courses right now.
Reintegration's tough. I mean, you spend your entire military career having a very strict chain of command, always knowing what to do next, and if you don't know, you know who to go to find out what to do next. There was always an answer, and there's always a process, there's always a procedure. Civilian life is not like that. I have seen so many people come back to work, and they can't handle ambiguity. They just can't. Because they went years where ambiguity was, no, not allowed. If there's ambiguity, you get it straight, because there's something not right if you're ambiguous about something. Something's wrong.
Right.
I used to work for a hospital automation company, and it was because of a veteran that I worked with who pointed that out to me that allowed me to be very successful when dealing with the military bases, the military hospitals, and ex-military who were in positions of managing, like, say, the supply chain. Where if I didn't have an answer, my answer wasn't, I don't know. My answer was, I don't have that answer right now, but I will get it for you, and I will call you right back with it. even that is a lot better than, I don't know. I mean, you could just feel the difference right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or, oh no, that's a good
Right.
question. Yeah, even as a regular customer, that would bother me. Especially now that it's like after all my years of training and all that for customer service, like there's always a way to get an answer. And sometimes the answer really is, I don't know. But there are ways to frame it to where it's okay, to get that across. It's like, look, the answer is, I don't know. I have gone ahead and I have reached out to the people above me. They're investigating it. There may be an update about this. There may not be an update about this. But I have done everything that I can to help you get this resolved. Let's see if we can find a workaround. For me, it's like second nature to do that kind of basic stuff. Most people, it's not. But you know what? Military people I've talked to about that, yeah, they appreciate that. I'm very clear and concise. I've done everything I could. Now let's see if we can get you something. Even if it's not the way that we're supposed to do things, let's see if we can actually get you to get a way to get what you need done. And if I can't, I'm going to exhaust every avenue that I have at my disposal. I that's a big pet peeve of mine with customer service. Having been in it for 20 plus years, I don't do well with poor customer service. I'm not the one that's quick to say, get me your manager. I'm the one that will try to coach you along while you're trying to help me. I'll be the one that will be like, "What, do you have like a knowledge base that you can look up? Is there someone you could reach out to?" I'm nice suggesting. I'm not combative.
Say that's good to not be combative. That just gets no one nowhere.
Yeah, and I thought that you would know this by now, see, that I don't do well with ultimatums, and you gave me an ultimatum. Ultimatums never go well with me. They just don't.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson early with that when I said, I'm not leaving without a hug when I finally meet you. Now he refuses to hug me.
Yep. Well, that's not necessarily the ultimatum. That's me keeping you hostage.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So you can't leave.
At least I'm wanted. Yay!
Really
Kat,
wanted.
on point with her comments. Bexley and C tied for running for the comment.
Well, I've been trying to.
Kat said, when I was working help desk, I'd say, ooh, I don't know. Let me ask the other technicians, can you hold for a minute?
Yep. And there's other tricks too, like when you know the answer is just flat out no, and you've already made that clear, but they're still pushing for it. You go say, you know what? Let me do some extra additional research and reach out to some other people. Is that okay? Put you on maybe a 5-minute hold while I do that, and I'll be right back. Get the permission. Put them on hold and just sit there for 5 minutes. And then come back and be like, yeah, I really can't. There's no one that's able to help out with this. There is no
Life
answer.
hack.
Yep. Oh, yeah. There was a time I was managing the call center for an internet service provider. And it was so small that I still took live calls coming in. You know, I handled all the escalations, I handled all the email, and I handled inbound calls. There was a few times where I'd get someone to be like demanding, I need to talk to the person in charge. I'm like, I am the person in charge. Like, well, I need to talk to your superior. I'm like, well, they're at home having dinner right now. It's like they're the owners of the company and they're not here. Like, well, I need someone to talk to you. Okay, let me just put you on a brief hold. Tap someone on the shoulder. Okay, you're my manager right now, and here's what you need to tell the customer when I transfer them to you. Yeah, and then be like, yeah, oh yeah, nope, he's right. He's absolutely right. There's nothing else we can do. Or whatever.
The art of deception.
Yeah, I mean, there are times you have to do it. And there's only been one time ever that I took over a call angry at the person I was taking the call, like who I was going to be talking to, before I even said a word to them. There was a little company I was working for. It was a managed service provider, and there was only 2 of us taking, inbound calls at the time. And the person right next to me, from Mexico City, had a pretty thick accent overall. Nicest guy, freaking smart as hell. Love this guy to death. Person he was talking to immediately went to a racist tirade on him, to where he got to the point where he could not handle talking to them anymore. He was starting to have a nervous breakdown. He's like, "Can you please just take this call?" I was like, "Dude, you should have kicked this over to me sooner, dude. Like, seriously." The instant he went ahead and started calling you names and started, bashing your heritage, you should have given him to me or just hung up on him. And I took the call. I was pissed. Funny thing is that he was so pissed off he handed the phone to his wife, and his wife's the nicest person on earth. Even the guy that works with that was next to me loves his wife. So, but yeah, at that point she was like, "Yeah, he's not. I'm never gonna let my husband call again. That's uncalled for. My husband was completely out of line." And I was like, "Can you tell that to the guy next to me, please? Because he could really use that right now." And Kat was saying we were told to toss it to our boss man. When I worked at the hospital automation company, we had what was called the floor supervisor. Like, we had 2 supervisors per team. My team happened to be very unique in that we were the only one that had a single team for the products that we supported. All the other products had multiple teams. And then you had the floor supervisor, which is if your supervisors weren't available, you had the floor supervisor to go to. That was a person that was on rotation who would get the floor phone for about 2 hours of their shift. Like 2 to 4 hours. And the joke was, don't make them your sacrificial lamb. And it was a floor-wide, company-wide joke. Everybody knew the joke, about it. And it was meant, don't throw your floor supervisor a case that they can't deal with. Don't make them a sacrificial lamb. Every time I would call them, I'd be like, "Oh, sacrificial lamb, I got one for you." Yeah, it was fun. The stupid stuff you do in a call center to keep yourself entertained. Like the old mice that had the little balls to roll around. Yeah, put tape under it so that way the ball doesn't move anymore. Then they're like, "What's wrong with my mouse?" Check, make sure it's plugged in. Shake it around. Loosely connect the keyboard so sometimes the letters work, sometimes they don't. Tape the release handle on their seat so when they sit down it just collapses on them. Yeah, see, you wouldn't understand. You haven't worked an office job.
No, I have not.
Funny thing was, I hated Dilbert for the longest time. I thought it was the worst comic on earth. It only took me about a week of working in cubicles to love Dilbert. Because, like, holy shit. Once you're in it, you get it. I'd really love to get a veteran on.
I'm still working on it. I am trying so hard. I'm reaching out to everyone that I know. So I'm hoping for some. I'm hoping for some kind of response soon. Because I really wanted this show to, be a platform for our veterans, for a vet to come on and tell their story and, help people understand how much they really do go through. Yeah,
as us civilians, we have an idea. Maybe we have an inkling of an idea. We might have a hint of an inkling at an idea. We don't really know. I would really love to know more about it.
Right.
Yeah, there's movies out there, like American Sniper, Jarhead, that they do touch upon it. But I mean, I don't know if they're really doing it a service. And I've talked to a lot of veterans, but I haven't talked to a veteran who truly was suffering from PTSD after the fact. I only met one briefly, and he was adopting my cat. My cat was, as far as medically, the cat was totally fine. The cat was just very neurotic and very special needs in that he needed a person pretty much 20 hours a day that would be able to hold and pet him. And as a parent and working, that was not the cat for me. But a veteran who loves cats and who had severe PTSD and could never work again, who stays at home and just played video games and watched movies all day, every day, perfect cat.
Oh, definitely.
We got a message about 2 months after he adopted him that this is the best cat ever.
Aww. I love that.
The cat, we called it the cow cat. Her name was Niblet. She was a black and white cat, with the patches. And she was fat. Oh my god, she ate so much. The joke that I made was that that the call of Niblet was moo. Oh no, it was meow. Meow.
I like when they do that. Hold on. Like that noise.
My sister had a cat named Effie. It was short for effing cat. But the cat name was Effie. The cat, when you did the little surprise pet, it was always a... Love that. Meanwhile, I have Ryuk, who has the highest pitch meow. Like, it sounds like a freaking kitten. And he weighs a ton. He's a beast. Oh, and lately, he has really taken a disliking to Buster because of just circumstances. He's very protective of Rocco, the other cat, our orange tabby cat. My wife was coming in with laundry and accidentally stepped on Rocco's tail. Rocco yelped. Buster happened to be there, and Ryuk absolutely unloaded on the beagle. Absolutely unloaded. My cat became unhinged. Scared the crap out of the beagle. Another time, the dogs were eating, and they're both a little food aggressive, so we always try to feed them separate. But Buster has a habit of trying to sniff around Sadie's bowl when he's done with his, even if Sadie's not done yet. And Sadie gave a growl. Buster gave an angry bark. And again, Ryuk came bolting in from another room and just unloaded on Buster. And this cat's only been in one cat fight. He used to be an indoor-outdoor cat. The day I caught him out in the street was the day he was no longer allowed outdoors again. Because I don't need our street gets a little busy at times, and I don't need a pizza for a cat. I like my cats alive. One time I heard a cat fight right outside my bedroom window. I go out there, and all of a sudden my cat comes in, and, some of his fur was a little disheveled, and the little tufts were he had little tufts of loose fur on him, but it was more other cat fur around him than anything else. My cat's fur is super thick. He is a long-haired black cat. I don't care what cat tries to fight him. I don't care how inexperienced my cat is at fighting. My cat will win just because the other cat will never be able to score a blow through all that fur.
He's such a pretty cat, though.
Uh-oh, I think Cat's about to adopt a kitten. Cat said, I got a kitten fix last night, had dinner with a friend, and her mom fosters. She currently has a mama with 3 little ones. So adorable. And then the little heart smiley emoji.
Aww. I have a cat. His name is Bam Bam. He had a sister named Pebbles, but she sadly passed away like 5 days after we adopted her and him. He's like my little buddy. He will follow me everywhere. When I go downstairs, he will instantly start yelling at me to get him gravy. He is my little buddy. He is my little guy.
That's awesome.
He likes to do this thing where he's like, I know the people can't see this, but he'll do like that to me, and I'll do it right back to him.
Oh, the little head nod thing?
Yes. He'll just kind of stare at me and then meow at me, of course.
Ryuk
But yes.
has actually cupped my hand with his paw and put my hand on his head.
Aww.
The full-on pet me, you asshole.
Oh, that's
my
so
little guy,
sweet.
he still has his claws, but he'll do the same thing where he'll like scoop something to just hold it, and he'll do that to my hand, and either he will bite it or he will lick it. There is no in between.
Yep. Yeah, Ryuk will actually full-blown hug my arm, like my forearm. And like he'll lay on his side, and it is not just the front, like the front legs that will wrap around my arm, his back legs too. And he'll just lay there and lick and lick and lick and cuddle and nuzzle and lick and lick. Little bites, which is it's a grooming thing. If they're doing light bites, you know, he's caring for me.
Yes.
Right.
I love my Ryuk.
I love the fact that, you know, animals like cats and dogs, I love it when they bring you stuff and they're so proud of it. And then I learned that they bring you things like that they'll bring you like a dead bird or a lizard or a mouse or whatever, because they feel like you can't take care of yourself and they're trying to feed you.
Yep, you're a bad hunter.
You don't provide well enough, so here, have a mouse.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm the one that fills up your food dish, and you freak out like it's empty as soon as you can see the bottom, even though there's a ton of food still in it. All I have to do is shake your bowl, and it's full again.
I think every cat everywhere does that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that issue with my dogs. If there's food in the bowl, they eat the food.
And even when there's no more food left, if they can smell it, they're still licking.
Well, I mean, with my dogs, they don't overeat. So I leave food out for them. They have a bowl of food out constantly. And they'll go get a few bites, you know, when they're hungry. And they don't just stand and wolf it down.
Yeah, I have a hound dog and a retriever. You can't do that.
Yeah. I have 2 little terrier mixes and a chihuahua. I can do that.
Yeah, they can graze all day, and they're not going to gain a ton of weight.
Right.
You get a hound dog or a retriever, and you go ahead and try grazing them, they will eat till they explode. And when they explode, it's because they're, like, morbidly obese to the point where they can barely walk because their bellies are dragging.
Right. And if my dogs had showed signs of that, I would have picked up the bowl.
Yeah, and with cats,
Right.
there's only 2 modes for cats. There's the cats that graze, and then there's the cats that wolf it down. And it's actually a genetic thing. The ones that wolf it down, they genuinely never feel full. Is what I found out. They never get that sensation, so they will eat until they're puking. And they'll still think that they're hungry. Yeah, those are the ones that tend to weigh a ton. Like my grandma's cat was named Tallulah. She was so fat, I called her 3 Lula. I said that your cat one day is going to run in opposite directions at the same time and wind up being 2 normal-sized cats. I mean, she was a sweetie, though. I loved Tallulah. On a little more eccentric note, our English ivy is blooming, so all the bees are around it. And what a lot of people don't realize, I mean, we have tons of honeybees, and I mean, the entire backyard fence is English ivy, the entire length. So there's like 3 sides of just English ivy.
Oh god.
Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that yellow jackets, like hornets and wasps, they don't actually eat meat. They gather meat for the larvae that eat meat because that's how they get their protein. Honeybees get their protein through pollen, which is what the hornets and wasps ignore. They themselves are nectar drinkers. So when the English ivy is blooming, all the yellow jackets are there too, and they're as docile as you can imagine. Like they are almost as docile as honeybees at this point. But I'm allergic to them. And I hate them. And a bunch of them found their ways into my Black Widow's belly.
So Webony is nice and fat.
Yeah, she's still getting close to her end. She's starting to lose motor control slowly but surely. She's out right now, and I can see she's starting to do the curling up thing more often than not. But she still has it in her to eat, so I'm going to keep feeding her. As long as she hangs around, I'll keep her around.
Yeah.
Her last 3 out of her 5 egg sacs wound up being sterile.
Oh.
Which, I'm okay with that. Because, I'd walk into my office in the morning, and, of course, when they hatch, they balloon everywhere. And I have my AC running, so there's a draft. I'd walk in and just be like, face full of web, full body, like, what the fuck?
Oh, man.
And then my wife was like, how come it looked like you were dancing around in your office? I was like, I was waving my arms around, knocking down the webs.
Why were you dancing in your office?
Fuck you, because I can. And now I don't want to chase Cat away, so we'll change the subject now. Oh, wait, no, she's just grooming. Okay. She's doing okay. My Sadie dog's staring at me like I'm insane.
Aww. Sadie dog is so pretty.
I said, hi, Sadie dog, and her tail immediately thump, 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 thump. And then she came for her pants.
Whenever my dog comes close to me, I'm like, hi, Trouble. You just know, he gives you that, like, side-eye look, and his tail starts going. It's like, who's a good boy? And then he gets super happy.
So, I love messing with my dogs. Buster's still a puppy. He's only a year old. And, twice now, I had to take out the garbage cans, because it was garbage night. Roll the cans out. They make a loud noise, make a loud bang. And all of a sudden, Buster comes running. Brrr! 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 When he does that pitch thing, he's really like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? I did it. He just came in here like, what's going on? What's going on?
What you just saw was the result of me not letting Chippy in my room while I was doing the podcast, and then I get grumpy dogs.
So anyway, he starts getting
I
alert.
have a little derpy dog down here. Hi, derpy dog.
And if you've seen our property at night, it is dark. There's no street lights in our neighborhood. So it is dark. So what I would do is I'd pull my shirt up like Beavis doing Great Cornholio, hunch down, and one time I'm all and shaking the gate. He came unglued and ran, like, away, barking his head off like, there's something there! There's something there! Watchdog, not a guard dog. And I let him go at that. The second time, I come walking out and I'm all, and I'm walking all, like, hunched over and jerkily, like, from a horror movie. And one of my kids' tennis rackets was out, so I grabbed it and started waving it around as I was doing it. He had no idea what I was. He was hiding under the swing set in the back part of the yard, as far away from me as possible, barking his full head off, totally scared. Sadie comes walking out of the dog door from my office, takes one look at me, starts wagging her tail. Because she sniffed the air. She knows to use her nose. Buster is a freaking hound. He's a beagle. His nose is everything. He hasn't learned to trust his nose at strange things.
Hello, Joe.
Aww.
I know, Joe.
And eventually I just went up and I started petting Sadie, and then Buster stopped barking and just stood there staring at me like, why is she okay with this?
Right.
And tonight...
What is this thing?
Yeah, tonight, I just went and I was just coming through the gate and he just started coming unglued again. Because he heard the gate rattle. So I just start stomping all awkwardly with with no rhythm at all. Just stomp, 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 stomp. Just to be unnatural. And I come around, it's freaking daylight. He could see me clear as day, and he was still acting like, I don't know who you are. I'm like, dude, are you like blind or something? Sadie comes out, sees me, wags her tail. It's like, oh, hey, it's Dad. He's just goofing off again. And eventually I just looked at Buster, well, hey, Buster. And then he just got zoomies really bad.
Oh man, I love it when dogs and cats get zoomies.
So do I. Oh, this morning, Rocco was laying on my chest. So I was just laying on the back on the couch. You know, the kids were watching some show, and I was just goofing off on the phone a little bit and talking to them. And Rocco started laying on my chest, and then Buster comes up and lays his head on my chest in front of Rocco, and Rocco started grooming him.
Oh.
Like, seriously, they are the best of friends. A beagle and the orange tabby. They roughhouse every day. Without fail. It is the coolest thing.
Our dog and my cat play too as well, but my cat doesn't care too much for it sometimes. He will actively try to tackle our much bigger dog and like try to like bite his neck, but he's got such thick fur that he just kind of stands there and has his mouth wide open like he's smiling, super happy. It's super funny.
Rocco will actually go and initiate play with Buster. Like, they are genuinely best friends.
Aww.
I've always seen videos of it, and I was always like, God, I wish that my dog and cat would get along. Because it never happened. And here it is. It freaking happened out of just spontaneously. And it is the best thing ever. Like, those of you that have a dog and a cat and have never seen it, oh my lord, it is the coolest thing. It genuinely is.
Well, I have had absolutely no luck tonight.
Yeah, me neither. I did a
Um,
call to arms and got nothing.
yeah. I do have someone who would like to speak on this subject, and they were busy tonight because they do a lot of organizing. They're very involved with organizations that help veterans and things like that. And they are definitely wanting to be on the show.
Well, they are more than welcome on the show, especially that topic. That's a topic I've been dying to cover since we launched this.
Yes, me too. But they are definitely interested. They just unfortunately they had events that they were taking part in for Veterans Day.
Yeah, I mean, asking veterans to come on during Veterans Day, that can be a big ask. I get that.
Yes.
I mean, he volunteered, and I was kind of surprised by it, to be honest.
Right.
It didn't happen. I'm not worried about it.
You know, we will have, you know, a guest on who will be you know, who will be able to speak about it someday. And until then, we'll continue to, you know, be open to anybody who wants to, you know, come on the show and share their experiences. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're just here to facilitate that. And
even if you think nobody's going to like your story, here's the thing that I've learned. Everybody likes all the stories. Your story matters. You matter.
Exactly.
I mean, I've had people, even like friends of the show, talk about how great I am and these things that I do, and like I'm some kind of like it's some special power I have. I'm just a regular person. I didn't think I would be able to do this. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just, you know, flying by the seat of my pants. If we ever got like a celebrity to come on, I would be like tickled pink. I might get a little starstruck for a minute or two. I've dealt with, I mean, they're people too. And especially if they're going to share a very human story. Yeah, they're humans, of course. But
right.
If we all of a sudden got on the map, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be like, I guess we lawyer up now? I don't know.
I don't know. I would be so, I mean, this is, as we are right now, this place is comforting and it's home to me. And I don't know what would happen if it was like all of a sudden overnight to take off and just, you know, Oh my God. That's a paralyzing thought.
I mean, for me, I think that would be a good problem to have.
Oh,
Because then we'd be able to reach more people and help more people. But I don't know
I
how we would handle the
totally
guest
agree.
log. I think we'd have to start hiring people. I mean, we'd probably have to become like an actual legitimate, like full on like company more than just like, I mean, I have a company. But I mean, like actually legitimately hiring people, HR stuff, and interviews. And yeah, I mean, would I mind doing it? No, not at all. If it comes to that, it comes to that, and that would be really cool. It means that we're really making a difference. But right now, I really like what we have. It is really nice.
it is absolutely wonderful to be able to have this platform and to be able to reach out to the people that, that we have reached out to. And I mean, I got
Good night, Kat.
a DM the other day that literally said, let me, I don't want to misread it, so I'm looking for it really quick.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I will say that when I did Tycho, I had people treat me like a minor celebrity. It was cool enough, but I was like, ultimately, I'm still just a person. Hell, at the time, I was just a high school kid.
Yeah.
What do I know about celebrity?
I have a text that said, I have PTSD and you've helped me. Thank you. I would not be here without you.
Aww!
I know.
I love that.
That's and that isn't even a guest that we've had on the show or anything. That is just
out of the blue.
I noticed someone. Yeah. Well, yes, I noticed someone that I'm friends with on Twitter who seemed to be very down. So I sent a message and told them, if you ever need someone to listen, I'm here. You can talk to me. And
any of us.
Yes, any of us, always. And they responded, and so we talked and talked and talked, and a couple days later, I got that message, and I told them, that means the world to me.
Yeah, it's those kinds of messages that keep us going.
Yeah, that message that that message that said I would not be here without you, thank you. That's my new header on Twitter now. Because that's why we do this.
Exactly. Not doing this for any kind of recognition. We're doing this because it matters.
Exactly.
If I wanted to do this for recognition, I would be doing it for all the wrong reasons. Hell, I would have a different podcast altogether.
Oh, exactly.
Right.
But
I mean, Bexy, you're the reason that that I did this more than anybody else.
I know I pushed because I believed in you, and I knew what you did for me, and I knew that other people could benefit from that too. Just having that person who will not only it's so much more than just listening to you. You're someone who you listen, you absorb the information that you've been given, and you honestly try to find helpful solutions for people and things that they can do to improve their life. And I've always thought more people could benefit from that.
Aww. See, I'm a caring asshole.
Yes, you are. You're my favorite asshole. Oh, I have the sweetest little dog in my lap right now. Oh my god, he's so cute. Look at that face.
I think that my two greatest accomplishments as far as like helping people go you and C.
Yeah.
C has come a long way.
And because of you, I've been able to help other people.
Aw.
I mean, I had the things that I have learned, not only from you, but also from C, and yes, you've taught me so much.
C has helped me a lot too.
I have.
You have.
You have no idea.
You really honestly have. You have no clue.
Bexy and I have talked about it a few
wow.
times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You are just like the most amazing guy.
You really
and both
are.
of us just want everything.
You
we
deserve
want
the
you
best
to
in
have
the
everything
world.
in the world that you want.
Oh. Thank you. I'm glad I at least taught you guys something. I like teaching people things.
Oh, trust me, you have made a huge difference in both of our lives.
You really have. And it's also why I'm always trying to reach out and try to find other things that we have in common. Minecraft.
Yes.
I'm making freaking golems, man, and not just the iron kind and the snow kind. Fleshy kind.
Oh, wow.
Wizard.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if I wanted to do something for more recognition, I'd do a comedy podcast.
Right.
I've been told by enough people I'm funny enough, and I'm really good at reading a room and just popping off with just the right jokes. I can't really do scripted stand-up, but I could definitely take a live situation and roll with it. And I've kicked around some ideas for some podcasts, but I need to be in a better place financially to be able to do other podcasts, and also with my, family life as well. Like, if this podcast started to take off, and I was able to delegate a lot more responsibilities to others, to where it's like I could just like be the host and just be like, hey, here's this guest that I want to get on, here's their contact information, so I'm gonna deal with it. I would absolutely have another podcast going. But this podcast is my baby. I don't know that I could ever delegate this to anybody else. This podcast is my baby, man.
It's your child. You're proud of it.
I'm very proud of this podcast.
You should be. You've done great things with this, and I'm thrilled to be included.
I'm glad that you're with a part of it. I miss KZ, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That goofy-ass bastard. I would love to just get him back on again, just to kind of get an update, and just have an episode about just him. And just see how... I don't know, have you actually met KZ yet?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think so, no.
See, we got to fix that.
Yes. Ooh, I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, he's a kick in the butt. He's definitely... I mean, at one point, he was my brother-in-law. Step-brother-in-law. But still. He's still my brother. He will always be my brother. I don't give up on family for shit. If you haven't noticed, because, I mean, you're family at this point. Oof. Well, I mean, I don't know that there's anything else to really talk about. I do know that I would like to get one particular celebrity on, because their story would just...
There is
really close to home for me.
Yes. I think I know who you're talking
Yeah. I mean, considering this person has a condition that I watched someone in my family slowly wither away because of that condition.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very deep personal interest in getting to know more from someone who has that condition, because I was too young to be able to really understand the questions to ask.
Right.
And they're no longer here with us, so I can't ask them anymore. Yeah, and it's not even because they're a celebrity. It's someone with that condition. One that
Right.
I have helped with charities for that condition. And that condition being multiple sclerosis, if anybody's wondering. Yeah, that's a terrible, terrible disease.
Absolutely. I believe, that it is. I don't know much about it myself, so celebrity or not, if there was somebody out there with MS who would like to come on the show, and
Absolutely,
I say welcome.
I say
Come talk to us. Please let us know.
Yeah, please talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us really have a lot of questions from their youth when they watch one of their favorite relatives slowly wither away and pass away from this disease. It still affects me. I
Right.
organized a Mortal Kombat tournament that we called it the Combat for the Cure. The idea being, we were going to, that the whole thing was that the proceeds would be about, would be donated to multiple sclerosis research. I didn't actually get to see it happen, but I got the balls rolling, got the wheel rolling anyway. So that was good. I just wish I could have been a part of it to actually witness it happen, the tournament. But yeah, I definitely want someone on with multiple sclerosis. And other things too. No, I'm not trying to pick on how about this time our goal is just get this condition. No, it doesn't matter. If you have
Right.
something to talk about,
No.
if you have something to talk about, come on, talk to us.
Definitely. We're here to allow you to voice your opinion, your frustrations, to ask questions, to teach other people, just to help you feel heard.
Exactly.
And, honestly, I think that, more people, if more people knew about, just the family like environment of this podcast, our guests, with our our listeners, they might be a little more at ease, because this isn't a cold clinical show. We are family.
We are family. But it's true.
Yes. I mean, we don't always bust out into Sister Sledge, but
Speak for yourself.
Right.
I'm kidding. You know that.
I know.
Who the hell am I to? I bust out into song at random times. Come on.
Yeah,
I
usually
make up
boy bands.
I make up songs and sing to my dogs.
Which is awesome. But no, seriously, the biggest thing like that we try to do as the hosts of the show is to make the environment here as comfortable as possible for anyone who wants to be a part of the show. That's it. It's that simple. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to feel that this is a safe place. We want you to know that you can talk about anything. We're not here to judge.
Right.
I mean, obviously there's legality things. Like, I mean, if you're what's called MAP, we'll have a problem. If you're no MAP, we won't really have a problem. It's something I would like, it's something I would want to talk about, but I know that would be super triggering for a lot of people. But for people that don't understand what I'm talking about when I say MAP and no MAP, MAP is a minor attracted person. MAP typically, and I might be wrong, but from my understanding, they don't shy away from contact with minors. No MAP is no contact minor attracted person. Mm-hmm. They realize that they are attracted to minors. They're not going to touch minors. They're not going to get involved with minors. They usually try to completely avoid minors, and they usually try to get help. You know what? More power to you. I look at it as a rights issue as far as things go. You are trying to make sure that you don't violate rights of others. And for that, you have my respect. I may not like the fact that you're attracted to minors, but you're attracted to what you're attracted to, and a lot of times you can't control that. I get that. But you were trying to do the right thing.
Right.
And even if that triggers the living crap out of some people, even if that causes some people to say, I'm never going to listen to the podcast again, that's fine.
We're not here to push an agenda on anyone.
No.
And this is a show where I feel like, people from all walks of life are welcome to come on and tell their story. It doesn't mean that we necessarily agree with them. But, there are stories out there that I would want to hear. If there is someone out there, like, we have had a ton of guests come on and talk about different kind of abuses and things like that. If there was someone out there who's a former abuser and you want to come on this show, I'd love to hear your side of the story.
But you would better be, for sure, a former abuser.
Exactly.
We don't want to give a platform to someone who's just trying to prove, see, I'm not an abuser. I get it, because a lot of abusers, it's true. A lot of abusers kind of get that way. And I'm not trying to push an agenda or anything. I've seen it firsthand. That's my experience. But if you are truly a reformed former abuser, please come on the show. Your anonymity is ensured. You don't even have to show your face to us the entire time. You really don't. You don't even have to give us your real name the entire time. We don't have to know where you live, who you are, or any details. We don't.
No. We honestly want to hear your story.
Yeah. We want to know why, where your mindset was at, why you were like that. What caused you to be that way? If there is a cause. Is it something that you just always were that way? Was it in your family? If not, we're curious. The more that we can, the more information that's out there, it can only help.
Exactly. And, that's all we're trying to do is, to facilitate knowledge of everything that affects people's mental health.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you're listening and you're one of these people that, like we're kind of looking for, we're always looking for a new story, a new topic that we haven't touched on. And we don't shy away from repeating themes. Just because, Bexy was abused.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that, okay, we had an abuse story, we're done with abuse. No. Her abuse story is unique to her. She's not the end-all, be-all of abuse. See, I think you said that there was abuse in your family. I don't know if you were, but I know you said that there was. There was abuse in my family. Everybody's story is unique and worth telling.
Exactly.
Yes, definitely. And if you are one of those people who are out there thinking, my story isn't worth hearing about, nobody would be interested, I guarantee you're wrong.
100% guarantee.
I absolutely guarantee it, because I didn't think my story was worth telling to anybody. I had the idea that, oh, there are people in the world who have it so much worse than I do. So my story isn't important. And that is just absolutely not the truth.
That particular comment, like, you really want to see me get pissed off? That comment pisses me off. Do not minimize your situation because someone else might have it worse. Does not matter.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't invalidate everything that you've gone through, everything that's happened to you, just because there are people out there, and I guarantee you, there are people out there who have had it worse. I know this for a fact, but that doesn't mean that what I went through wasn't important, wasn't as, and me telling my story is a good thing. The more you can open up about this stuff, and I know that sometimes it's very hard, and taking that first step to do it is
terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
We get it.
But so much good comes from it. Because until you can admit and say, yes, these things happened to me, and I realize now that you'll realize that it's not your fault. The abuses that you suffered were not your fault. And a lot of abuse victims blame themselves. Well, I should have done this differently. I could have been better. I could have
shoulda, coulda, woulda. Doesn't change.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know, because I was that person. Every time I was abused, I thought I did something to bring it on myself. And it's absolutely horrible for a 9-year-old kid, a 10-year-old kid, and anyone, to think that they're such a terrible person that they deserve all of the negativity and hate and abuse that's heaped upon them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No. Unless you are a serial killer and absolutely have basically no soul, nobody deserves that.
Exactly.
If you were a serial rights violator and you truly don't care about violating rights, I'm sorry, I don't care about you. I really don't. Would I be able to handle having you on as a guest? I don't know. Because I'm afraid that if you don't care about rights, that you just use it as a bragging session. And your victims may find out about it, and no. Am I curious? Well, yeah. But, I gotta think about other people as well. But again, a former abuser, a reformed abuser that's now having healthy relationships, or knows better than to get in. Like, I've heard some people that can't be in a relationship ever again because they know that they will abuse again. So they just adamantly refuse to get into relationships. You know what? That's you're doing everything in your power to avoid violating somebody's rights. I want you here. Right. I want to talk to you.
Exactly.
See, it all comes down to volition. If you choose to do the right thing, you're welcome here. Even if you're predispositioned not to do the right thing. Agree, disagree?
I absolutely agree. I mean...
Agree.
I am so willing to hear anybody's story. And I know that there are people out there who have maybe they have had, maybe they have done some things that they're not proud of and they regret, and they've changed their ways. Yes, I want to hear your story.
You know what? I'm a little bit guilty of building a gilded cage for my ex-wife back when we were together. I regret every second of it. Not exactly something I really want to talk about. I'm not proud of it. But if enough people wanted me to talk about it, sure, I I can talk about it a little bit. I don't know too much about it. My ex-wife would definitely be the one to talk to about it, since she was the one that was in the Gilded Cage and had pointed it out to me, and I was in denial at first. As an adult now, looking back at it, I was like, shit, she was right.
I've just got a message from Sprinkles. Hey, Bexy, you still need somebody?
We are... Oh, my lord. We don't have a lot of time left at this point. We have just about an hour left.
Yeah.
Well...
Next time?
Sure.
Next week we have open, I believe, don't we?
Do we have next week open? I don't think we do.
I don't know. I'm going to check.
I'm pulling up the calendar right now. Next week...
Oh, no, we don't have next week open.
Oh, next week's going to be a good... I have some homework to do. Yes, I like episodes where it's something I haven't heard about and I have to do some homework so I can come in not sounding like a complete ignoramus. You know, that's a part of the job of being a host, is I should at least know a little bit about what you're going to talk about. Like the first episode that Rachel came on, yeah, I did some heavy reading beforehand. I wanted to know what the topic was. I wanted to know more about what her passion was. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. And then we're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll be back.
Yes, we will. Well, I have told Miss Sprinkles that we don't have very much time left, but we'd love to have them on for next season, since next week is our 10th episode of this season.
Yep, 10th and final for the season.
Right.
Yep. So, yeah, definitely. I'm really sorry that this one didn't work out, but I'm definitely still open, hoping that I can get somebody and we can give this subject, the attention that it deserves.
Yeah, having less than an hour with people that have already gone for the night, not exactly the best situation.
Right. And I want, as many people as possible to, be able to come in and be in the chat and ask their questions and get answers and, just have it be a really good experience for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And if not, a lot of people want to come on because, let's face it.
This is a tough subject.
Yeah. PTSD in general is tough. PTSD for a soldier, that's a whole different level.
Yes, it is. It is. Oh, my goodness. Yes. And it is definitely a subject that no matter how many episodes we have on it, we'll talk about it over and over and over again if we have to.
Exactly.
And that goes for any mental health issue as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, you and me both. And I'm sure that I speak for C on that one too. I've been learning C a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
C's all right. I guess we'll keep them around for a little bit longer.
I really think we should keep them.
Just
maybe a day or two. Anyway, I think that would be a good time to call it an episode. What do you guys think?
I think so.
I think it'd be all right.
All right, everybody. Sorry this episode didn't work out. You know what? It's the curse of having a live show. It is what it is.
But we do work hard, to get guests on here that we think will be, not only people that we want to speak to and hear their story, but also people that, we think our listeners will relate to. And this week, unfortunately, it didn't work out so well, but we keep trying, and next week is another show.
Yep, and then we're gone for 2 weeks, and then we'll be back on the 9th. Wow. The next two, like the final episode of this season, I've never heard of this treatment plan thing that they're talking about for their condition. I'm going to do a little bit of homework on that. And then when we come back, two topics that, one that amazing. I like, seriously, this is one that has really been a curiosity of mine. And then the very next one after that is something we should have been talking about along, this whole time. And I don't have it in the notes for the episode, but the 16th episode, the beauty and benefits of proper medication and the importance of not missing doses and the importance of constantly communicating with your doctor to make sure that it's still effective. This is a very, very important conversation.
Probably one of the most important conversations ever.
Exactly. And I'm glad that someone finally said, hey, we should have an episode on that. I'm like, yeah. I mean, we had the accountability buddy thing. We kind of fell off, and we still remind each other every once in a while. But
well, I'm still taking my meds properly.
I'm still taking my meds properly. Actually, you guys know me well enough by now that I'm sure you guys would be able to identify me in a manic episode.
Oh, yeah.
Not that Bexy
I'll be
hasn't
honest,
seen it.
I haven't been taking my meds properly. But
you seem to be okay, though.
It's been okay. It's only been a couple of days.
Yeah.
No.
I think I missed my meds today. I feel a little off, but not bad. I'll take them tonight to help me go to sleep.
Thankfully for me, if I do miss doses, even if it's like a week or something, I don't usually feel off. At least I don't feel as off as I usually do.
I missed 2 days and I'm screwed. I was about to drop the F-bomb, but nah. Decided to be nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I can, if I miss a day, I'm usually okay. More than a day, and I'm like, yeah, I feel it. I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are some of my medications I can never miss ever. Like,
Right.
Well, insulin's not going to happen every day, no matter what.
And I mean, let's be honest. Some of your medications, you will die without it.
Yes. I definitely need the insulin and stuff like that. I really try hard to keep on a schedule with my meds.
I mean, it's only the right thing to do.
Yes, I know. If I want to live, I guess.
Life.
I know, right?
Honestly, it took me a long time to get there, but I have to say life is the greatest thing ever. Because of life, everything.
Right.
The good and the bad, and if it wasn't for the bad, I wouldn't appreciate the good.
Exactly. I say that.
Did it have to get so bad?
My bad days truly make me appreciate my good days. And since I've been to the doctor a lot recently, and I've gotten a lot of things straight and have my medicine adjusted, I feel so much better.
Yeah, I noticed that, like, when you got your medication changed, you're like, yeah, I'm on this now. Your world came around to being like, hey, life's pretty good again.
I'm actually sleeping at night. I forgot what that was like. It had been so long since I'd had a solid night's sleep. I didn't even freaking realize how badly it was affecting me.
That's actually...
Well...
Actually, what's funny is I actually ran into a guy at right outside of my son's preschool. There's a park. And yesterday, he wanted to go to the park because, the park. Duh. And I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and go to the park. You don't have preschool tomorrow, which is today. School's closed today for his sister. It's like, yeah, let's go to the park for a little while, and then we'll go get your sister afterwards. Met a guy, ex-military, fell into drugs and alcohol really hard, is now sober, and he wants to come on the show and talk about not only that, the whole thing about becoming sober, but the importance also of sleep and medication. Because
Yes.
as he was pointed out, he was self-medicating with the drugs and alcohol, and once he took it away, all of a sudden his therapy was gone. He is no longer being medicated. So that's where the medication came in.
Right.
And even though it's like me, I hate that I have to take meds for the rest of my life. I hate it. I like how I am with the meds. I just hate that I have to take the meds. But guess what I'm going to choose 9 times out of 9? The meds. And proper sleep. And he wants to come on and talk really more about the whole thing about sleep hygiene, which is so underrated. It is so important.
It sounds like that is going to be a very interesting episode.
Yeah, he was planning on... He's busy up until about New Year's, and then his business dies down, and he's talking about January or February for coming on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You just never know where you find guests. My kid started playing with his kid, we started talking, and he's going to be a guest. just like that. So yeah, that's so it's like, you never know where you're going to find guests. Everywhere. Literally.
They pop up in, sometimes a guest pops up in a situation you'd never expect to find a guest in, but that's the beauty of, this is, finding the people that are interested in coming on and telling their story and sharing with others. And, we have, in the past, we have had the most amazing guests. In the future, I know we have
the most amazing guests.
Amazing guests lined up. I mean, we're genuinely so appreciative of all of our guests and all of our listeners. And we love you guys.
We do. We
Yes.
And I'm gonna say, if we can get that one celebrity to come on, I'm gonna fanboy a little bit, honestly.
Oh my God. I may not be able to speak, and I've met that celebrity.
I can handle it. I grew up in an area where celebrity sightings were frequent, but I mean, I had a crush on this one at one point, and honestly plays one of my favorite characters on one of my favorite shows of all time. So yeah, there's a little bit of fanboying that's going to happen initially that'll last all of like 10 seconds.
Okay.
Well, trust me, being in the presence of this person is a truly wonderful experience.
Well, I mean, they're a truly wonderful person.
They really are.
And like, honestly, had you known, like, if you know this celebrity back when they were young, you never would have thought this of this person. Like, seriously, a little bit of a wild child as a kid, but an absolute saint.
Oh, angel.
Like, I love watching her when she does, like, when she goes and, like, speaks in front of crowds. I love it.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love it.
Well, before we sign off, I do have I have a Veterans Day poem.
Oh, please.
Oh,
We'll make that. We'll end it with that.
Yeah. So, okay, it doesn't have a title. Most of my works don't, but here goes. Today we honor all who have served, the ones who bravely fought and our country preserved. They left their loved ones and traveled the land to protect the lives and freedoms of this land. And some didn't return, and we mourn for them now. Some made it back safe, but are haunted somehow. The brave men and women who joined up to serve should be honored and respected. It's what they deserve.
That's awesome. I have to put a note for myself for the guy that comes on, wants to do the talk about sleep therapy, like the importance of sleep. I'll just throw it out there now. I don't remember the exact denominations and all that, but he went to, like, he has 2 family members buried almost side by side in a military cemetery. 2 people that didn't know each other in life. It was like, a member of the family on one side of his family, member of the family on the other side of his family happened to be next to each other. And one thing he noticed is that there were stacks of coins on a lot of the headstones.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know what those mean.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and share that? Because, like, the different denominations have different meanings.
Yes. A coin that is left on the headstone at a gravesite is a message to the deceased soldier's family that someone else has visited the grave to pay their respects. And the different coins actually mean different things. You know, if you leave a penny, it means that you visited. A nickel indicates that you and the deceased had trained at boot camp together. A dime means that you served with them in some capacity. And if you leave a quarter, you're telling the family that you were with the soldier when he was killed.
Yep, and if you leave $1, you witnessed it.
Yes.
You weren't just in the same, like, platoon, you witnessed it.
Yes.
And there are veterans that will go to these cemeteries with bags of change, and they'll visit everyone that they know, every plot, and they have it, like, memorized. So if you ever go to a military cemetery and you see stacks of coins, you'll know what it means. It was one of the most touching things I'd ever heard. And a little part of me went, how the hell did I not know this?
The first time I read about that, I actually cried.
I almost cried.
It was just, yeah. Well, I didn't know what it meant until I visited my father's grave, actually, and found coins on it.
Aww.
So.
Wait, my father was in the military? Was it one of those?
Well, no, I knew he had been in the military. But by that point, I just didn't know what the coins meant until after. I don't get to visit his grave very often because he's buried in Ohio.
That's a trip for you.
So when I do go to Ohio, that's one thing that I always make sure to do is to go see Dad, you know, when I'm up there. And it was one of the first trips I made back up there after I moved down here and went to see the grave, and I saw that, you know, somebody had left some coins on there. I think there was a couple pennies and a dime, and there might have been a couple nickels. I can't remember exactly right now, but I know that there was a little stack of change on there. And I was like, that's really odd. And I, of course, left it alone because, you know, you don't take anything off of, you know.
You want a cursed life? That's how you get a cursed life.
No, you don't do it. The only thing I ever did at my father's grave, clean it up, put fresh flowers, you know, rearrange stuff if it needed it, but that's it.
Yeah, my mother-in-law's grave, rose bushes.
Oh. See, and I mean, I'm the type of person that, I mean, I'm so nerdy that I actually, when visiting a friend, we learned that Dimebag Darrell from Pantera was buried in the same cemetery. So we went over and said hello to Dimebag and left him a smoke.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dimebag, I mean, as much as some people are like, what a name, blah, 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 blah. You know what? What he contributed musically, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen to Cemetery Gates and tell me that is not some of the most iconic guitar riffs you've ever heard in your life.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up tonight. So thank you for those that joined in and listened after the fact or downloaded now. Please like, share, subscribe, follow, friend, whatever. I mean, there's so many different platforms that we're on. We keep, like, I'm not even kidding. I go and look at the statistics, and every once in a while I was like, wait, I never heard of that platform before. We're getting picked up all over the place. Yeah, we're international. And again, we still want more international guests. You know, we've only had the 2. We want more. We really do. I know it's challenging because international means, hey, sometimes Like, over in Ireland, getting up at 1 a.m? Yeah, I get it.
Right.
It's a big ask. But you in New Zealand, it's in the afternoon. Come on. We're still waiting for you. You're still listening. We know this. Statistics don't lie. Okay, maybe different people. But still, there's somebody or some people in there. Oh! We do have something to celebrate. This week, we hit 3,000 total downloads. We are at 3,011 right now. We hit a new milestone.
Awesome.
But yeah, definitely give us a like, give us a follow. Download the Spreaker app. Follow us. We have 18 followers right now through Spreaker. That's 18 people that are getting notified when we go live without me having to be like, hey, we're going live. Hey, we're going live. Hey, we're going live. Tonight was so busy trying to figure out if we could get a guest that I really only set it out on our Discord, which go ahead and join our Discord. You can get to it from our website, mimental.net. Also, if you want to help us out, go to mimental.net/donate. Number of ways you can donate, and we also have some merchandise. Outside of all of that, I am E.
I'm Betsy.
I'm C. Oh.
And we are just tripping all over each other here. And we'll catch you next week. Yeah, good episode coming up. Y'all should join us.